Hi guys, I'm Chris and welcome back to the Watch Scientists channel. We are back today with something a little different, as you can already tell by the setup, and today I wanted to go over some of my favorite new releases of 2020. As you all know, we are living through some strange times the last couple of months, and big events like Basel World or the Geneva Motor Show, for example, just cannot take place right now. This is completely changing our everyday lives, and for watch enthusiasts like us, this time of year is normally the time where new watch models are being released to the public. I visited Basel World last year, where unfortunately already a lot of big names were missing. And I was looking forward to going this year, but this is just not possible anymore. Aside from that, a lot of watch brands, a lot of big watch brands left the Basel World event. So they will no longer be taking part in Basel World, which in my opinion has been a long time coming and is the death shot for the event Basel World in my opinion. But as these events cannot take place right now, big watch brands had to think differently on how to get their watches to their customers. This is where Watches&Wonders comes into play, because they grouped a lot of different watch brands together and made the releases like an online event. So in today's video I will go over some of the hottest new releases, ranging from a $500,000 very limited watch over Vacheron Constantin open worked perpetual calendars, as well as watches having Martian meteorites built into their dial. So just stay tuned and I will start after the intro. Let's start with something a little disappointing, because today I'm unable to show you new Rolex models or new Patek Philippe models, as they have not been released yet. Rolex has announced in an official statement, and I quote, "We have not currently identified new timing for our releases, but we will be back to you in due course with further information. Our priority at this time is to stand by the people with whom we work and to bring help and support in the best way possible." Patek Philippe unfortunately has not yet released any similar statement, so we just don't know when their new watches are coming out. But let's get started with the watches, and I wanted to start with a big brand, Vacheron Constantin. If you don't know what Vacheron Constantin, they are within the 3 top watch brands in the watchmaking industry. This is always just an opinion, but it is very well settled in the watch community that Vacheron Constantin, Audemars Piguet and Patek Philippe are the holy trinity of watchmaking. And I wanted to start with my favorite watch, I have to say, of all these new releases, which is the Overseas Perpetual Calendar, ultra thin, skeletonized and open work version of the Vacheron Constantin Overseas. So the Vacheron Constantin Overseas is Vacheron Constantin's sports watch. So you can see it in a similar way to the Royal Oak and the Patek Philippe Nautilus. So we have these 3 top brands with their 3 top-notch sports models. So all these sports versions from Audemars Piguet and Patek Philippe come in different kind of configurations with different kinds of complications. This particular one is the Perpetual Calendar variation of the Overseas. So it has a calendar that doesn't need to be adjusted until the year 2100, which is amazing. I just love Perpetual Calendar watches. They are just fascinating to me. But beyond that, Vacheron Constantin has made this watch ultra thin, which is 8.1 millimeters, which is crazy, and they made it open work version. So it's a skeleton watch. It looks amazing to me. Some people don't like skeletonized watches. For me personally, it's a really interesting thing looking into such a complicated watch, and I just can't wrap my head around how you get this to 8.1 millimeter. But anyway, so you can get this watch either on a rose gold bracelet or of course an alligator and a rubber strap, which I have to say I really love the rubber strap. I think it looks amazing. And another thing I really love about this watch is the fact that you can quite easily change the straps on this watch by just pressing in this little lever, which is just great. You have a beautiful watch and you can just easily on the go put other straps on it. I mean, it doesn't really get much better than this. Oh yeah, another special thing about this watch is that the dial is actually made out of sapphire crystal and it's see-through. So they actually did it so that the indices and the markers, as well as the rings around the subdials, are actually placed on this see-through sapphire crystal. The caliber in this is the 1120 QP-SQ1. QP for Quantum Perpetual and SQ for skeletonized, I guess. Another testimony to the greatness of this watch is the fact that it has been given the Geneva seal, which is one of the highest certifying grades you can get in Swiss watchmaking. The price is a little hefty with $115,000, and as it is a limited production, I am sure these are going to go for much more on the used market. Moving on to the next Vacheron Constantin release, which is the Traditionnel Tourbillon chronograph. As the name suggests, this is a chronograph and it's also equipped with a tourbillon. This is a product of the special project from Vacheron Constantin from their Grand Complication workshop, which is a workshop dedicated to their highly limited, highly complex watches. So this chronograph is actually a monopusher chronograph, which is something I have to say I haven't seen it a lot. There's another Mont Blanc watch which came out that also has a monopusher chronograph. I feel like this really gives the watch more of an elegant look than the 3-pusher chronograph version. So I think it being a Vacheron Constantin, you can definitely wear it with a suit. It fits under your cuff easily with 11.7 millimeters. It has a gorgeous tourbillon and the rose gold is spot on. It is a hand-wound movement and the tourbillon is just glorious. It's a pretty big watch with 42.5 millimeters. The case is obviously an 18 karat pink gold and it comes on a brown alligator strap. Moving on to the third release from Vacheron Constantin, which is again an extremely complicated watch. The official name of this watch is the Vacheron Constantin, La Musique du Temps, Les Cabinottés, Grande Complication, Split Second, Chronographe, Tempo. So this is a watch, as the name already suggests, from the workshop Les Cabinottiers. And these cabinottiers became well known for their incredible, unique watchmaking within the Vacheron Constantin industry. So this watch, as the name also suggests, is a part of a larger series, La Musique du Temps, so the music of time. And this watch is actually a double-sided watch. If you hear this, you can already tell that this is going to be something special, and it most definitely is. This is an incredibly complicated watch, hence why it has two sides to be even able to display all its functions. The watch also comes with a special strap where you can easily remove the strap, turn the watch around and just wear the other side of the watch on the go. The front side of the watch is dedicated to displaying the time and the calendar complication, which means it includes the perpetual calendar as well as a split-second chronograph. This watch is part of the La Musique du Temps theme. It also has a minute repeater. The watch is obviously very big, but it's not as big as other Grande Complication watches, which can sometimes be that big that you are afraid to put it on your wrist. I mean, this watch is already 50 millimeters in diameter and 21 millimeters in thickness, which is still impressive for all the complications that they stuffed in this watch. Let's get to the other side of the watch. Here we have the sunrise and sunset indicators, as well as indicators showing how many hours of the day are still left. these are displayed at the 3 and 9 o'clock marker. At the 6 o'clock we have the moon phase, and at 12 o'clock a beautiful tourbillon with a power reserve indicator superimposed over the tourbillon cage. These types of grand complications are just very interesting to me every time. I don't really see them as watches, because when are you going to wear something like this? I mean, there's probably going to be just a handful of watches made, and they are just a testimony to what is even possible in watchmaking. Now, moving on to a different brand, let's move to Lange Söhne. One of their releases this year is an addition to their Odysseus model. In 2019, when the Odysseus came out, it was the first stainless steel watch from Lange Söhne. Say, it was the first non-precious metal watch from Lange Söhne. That being the case, it met some critiques from some Lange Söhne fans, so it actually made sense that they released a new version of the Odysseus, not changing very much, but this time the case is made out of white gold. Besides that, they also changed the dial. They changed the blue dial to a grey anthracite dial, which fits this watch better in my opinion, especially because this watch doesn't come on a white gold strap, but rather on a black silicone strap or a brown leather strap if you like. Looking at the case bag, I have to say Lange Söhne, in my opinion, make the best case bags with their German silver, the intricate carvings on the rotor, their jewels, their blue heated screws. The diameter is still 40.5 millimeters and the thickness 11 millimeters. The price has considerably increased from 28,800 to 40,600 euros for this white gold version. Now coming to another release from Lange Söhne, very limited Zeitwerk minute repeater. So this is an iconic watch for Lange Söhne, displaying the time almost like a digital Casio watch, you know. You have the hours on the left and the minutes on the right, just displayed numerically with no hands. There's just hands for the small seconds and the power reserve indicator. In addition to that, it has a minute repeater, which means if you pull the lever on the left side of the case, the watch will chime the time for you. So you don't even have to see the dial to be able to tell the time. So like I said, this is an incredibly limited piece and it will cost $449,000 before taxes, so you can be sure that after taxes this is going to be half a $1 million watch. This watch is extremely complicated. It's extremely complicated to get this digital display of time in a mechanical timepiece, which is why this watch has 771 parts and it's just a feat of engineering in the horological industry. Again, looking at the case bag, I just can't take my eyes off this case bag. It just looks glorious. As you can see, it doesn't have rotor, so it's hand wound. It's limited to 30 pieces. Now moving on to Glashütte Original. They have made a new watch for their 60s edition. Last year we saw the really interesting looking dial. They had orange and green with their textured dial. And this year they added a version in glacier blue. On the one hand, a simple 3-hand watch, no days or just hours, minutes and seconds, in stainless steel with this crazy beautiful blue sunburst dial on a suede brown leather strap. And also I like their playful numerals, which gives this watch a little different look. Besides the 3-hand movement, there's also a chronograph movement with my favorite kind of chronograph subdial layout. This really gives the chronograph still a very classy look without overburdening the dial with subdials. So both these watches are 42 millimeters wide and 12.4 millimeters thick. Both watches have a movement based on the famous Glashütte caliber 39. In the case of the simple time-only version, it's the 3052 caliber, and in the chrono it's the 3947 caliber. Whereas the simple time-only version will go for $6,700, the chronograph version will go for $8,300. Now moving on to a different brand, Jaeger LeCoultre. Jaeger LeCoultre is one of my favorite brands, as they are constantly shaking up the watch industry, putting out new patents, developing new technologies. And this year we have 3 new watches adding to their master collection. So their master collection is their most basic collection, I would say, delivering sturdy, exact timepieces with a great design, and I just love these watches. So starting with the most simplest one, we have the Master Control Date, and as the name already says, it has a 3-hand movement with a date indicator. It is the thinnest one of the 3 with just under 9 millimeters of thickness. They are all 40 millimeter cases, by the way. This one has a power reserve of 70 hours, 5 bar water resistance with this, which is not too much, but which is to be expected with a watch like this. This is clearly not a diving watch. And they all come on a Novo Nappa calfskin strap. The caliber in this one is the 899 AC. Moving on to the next one, which is the Master Control Calendar. This one adds a moon phase, quite obviously, at the 6 o'clock dial, as well as a day and a month indicator, and a jumping pointer date, which has moved the running seconds to small seconds dial at 6 o'clock. It is a little thicker with 11 millimeters and has the caliber 866AA. Now moving to the last one of the 3, we have the Master Control Chrono Calendar. So this is the first time Jaeger LeCoultre are combining their famous triple calendar with their chronograph movements. So the triple calendar consists of 2 small windows displaying the day and the month, as well as a date indicator at the 6 o'clock. And then in addition to that, we have a chronograph movement on here. This one is a little thicker, again with 12 millimeters obviously, and it has the caliber 75.9 in it. What I found interesting, by the way, here are the prices of the watches. So the time date only one is 6,950. The calendar one is 11,400, and the calendar chronograph is 14,900. JLC is offering up to 8 years of warranty. It says here that it's extendable until 8 years. I'm not quite sure what this means, but at least it's possible to extend the warranty to 8 years, which is quite a lot. Now moving on to IWC, International Watch Company, starting off with the Portuguese Yacht Club Moon and Tide. So with this watch, IWC is debuting their Tide following complication, which I have to say I've never seen anything like this except for like a digital G-Shock watch. But this watch actually displays the moon phase at 12 o'clock marker, and at 6 o'clock marker they display the tide. So I'm not quite sure how this works, and I really love the red details on the dial. They really go nicely with IWC's armor gold and the rich blueness of the sunburst dial, as well as the strap on this one. So now moving on to another one from IWC, which is the IWC Portuguese Tourbillon Retrograde chronograph, which you can see here. It comes either in the armor gold case with a blue dial or in a platinum case with a white dial. I think it's very interesting how they display the date on this one, with an indicator ranging from the tourbillon cage up to the chronograph subdial. Moving on to Piaget with a really interesting new release. They just released the thinnest mechanical watch in the world with just 2 millimeters thickness, which is crazy insane. So it's a mechanical movement, not an automatic movement, which means it's hand wound, which gives it the possibility to be even thinner than like the thinnest automatical watch. So how did they do this? First of all, there's no main plate, there's just a case bag which is part of the case itself, and the case itself is carved out of one single piece of metal, and the metal in question is also newly developed to be able to sustain pressure on even being so thin. Also, every single part is engineered to be as small as possible, staying within the tolerance of not breaking, you know. Moving on to Hermès, not a typical watch brand, but their new release this year is really something interesting. As you can see here, it's a big watch displaying time and date in two big dials that are rotating around the center of this dial. Besides that, it also has two big moon indicators, one to indicate the moon phase in the southern hemisphere and the other to indicate the moon in the northern hemisphere. So this watch is really something I've never seen before. It looks really interesting. It's powered by in-house movement, so there's different kind of variations. First up, there is a blue dial version, either made of lapis lazuli or blue pearl. And these two are additions to the main collection, so this means they are not limited. Besides that, there are three meteorite dial versions. One with a lunar meteorite, one with a black Sahara meteorite, and one with a Martian meteorite. And all these meteorite dials, they are limited edition pieces. The lunar and black Sahara dials are limited to 36 pieces, and the Martian one is limited to only 2 pieces. So the case material is white gold for lunar and black Sahara, and platinum of course for the Martian version. So let's get to some honorable mentions, which I couldn't go into depth more. There's for one the Zenith Chronomaster Revival Shadow, a version of the El Primero, the very well-known El Primero from Zenith. It is said that this one is a homage to a Zenith El Primero version that should have been released in 1970. A totally blacked out version with blacked steel. I really think they did a good job giving reference to it with the angular shaped case as well as of course the blacked steel. Moving on, we have two Blancpain watches, the Blancpain Villeray Quantième Complet and the Ultra Plat with blue dials, both of them. The Ultra Plat is, as the name says, very thin. So on one hand you have a complicated watch with a complete calendar and a thin dressy piece with just a freehand movement displaying the date as a 3 o'clock marker. And I really like it, the gold with the dark blue alligator strap as well as the dark blue dial. Moving on to a watch brand that I personally don't care about that much, which is Panerai. I just don't like their general cushion type case design and their big crown guard. I just don't like that style. But they have released some new watches with a very iridescent fluorescence theme, as this is the 70 years celebration of the Luminor collection, which makes sense. And if you guys want to see more about this and all the other watches, I got a lot of my informations either from the watch brand sites or from Hodinkee, which I can only recommend. Moving on then to the Cartier Privé collection Tank Asymmetric Skeleton. The name again is pretty obvious, and it is a skeleton watch. Comes in 3 different variations and has like an asymmetric off-center, not off-center, an asymmetric display of time. I think this gives the watch a very interesting look. Something I also have never seen yet is a 3-lug watch, which definitely makes it difficult to get new straps on this one, but they look very interesting and I have to say I like them. And then again, like I said, there's new Mont Blanc watches, chronograph watches, and they are mono pushers, which is pretty surprising to me. So yes guys, that's it. That's all the releases I wanted to take a look at. I'm sure there will be new releases in the following weeks and months. So if you enjoy this kind of video and if you want to see my face again, then like and subscribe to this channel. We have a lot of different content coming in the next weeks, so stay tuned. And it would really mean a lot to us if you would subscribe and like this video. If you didn't like the video, please let us know in the comment section below, as we are always trying to improve our content. And thank you to each one of you who is watching these videos, liking and commenting. We're really happy to have you, and we will do our best to improve our content every single time. Thanks so much for watching. Goodbye.